Is Maya going to be here today?
I don't believe so. We are live, Brian.
Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Perfect. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Alrighty. Well, good morning, guys. Thank you for coming to our meeting on October 30, 2020. In honor of Halloween being tomorrow, I asked some of our SGA members to, dress up and celebrate via Zoom. So this is why you'll see us in strange looking outfits today. But thank you guys for tuning in to our meeting. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 10:03 a.m. And I'll go ahead and move on to our Pledge of Allegiance. So we now give time before the meeting to recognize those who wish to recite the pledge, reminding those in attendance that they're not required to do so. So on the count of three, if you would like to go ahead and do with me, I would really appreciate it. 1, 2, and 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, guys. Moving on, I'll go ahead and go to our establishment and roll call. So President me, I am definitely present. I have our Vice President of Menifee Valley Campus, Nicholas Singh.
I'm present.
Thank you. Our Vice President of Santa Fe Campus, Victoria Ann Caballero.
Present.
Thank you. Our student trustee, Ariana Rodriguez. I don't think she's on the line right now, so I'm going to go ahead and mark her as tardy. Our Commissioner of College Activities, Janelle Beza.
Here.
Thank you. Our Commissioner of Financial Affairs, Tracy.
Here.
Thank you. Our Commissioner of Institutional Effectiveness, Stephanie Vasquez.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner of Public Relations, Catherine Chamberlain.
Here.
Thank you. And then moving on to our senators, Senator of Financial Affairs, Thomas Gonzalez.
Here.
Thank you. Senator of Financial Affairs as well, Alexis Martinez.
Here.
And then lastly, our Senator of Public Relations, Daly. I know she's driving, but she is present. So I'm going to go ahead and mark her present. Moving on, we do have our SGA advisors, Associate Dean of Student Services, Maya Cardenas. She will not be present. I have our first SGA advisor, Jose Fernandez.
Present.
Thank you. Our second SGA advisor, Suzanne Ortega.
Present.
And lastly, our last SGA advisor, Maricel Magaña. She will not be present. Moving on, I will go ahead and go to the approval of minutes for October 23, 2020. I did send these out in our last, or in this week's email, so I would hopefully like an approval for these minutes. I know there was a typo in Adolfo's position, and that was switched over. So once we do approve these minutes, I'll go ahead and send the correct ones out, and then that way we can get that situated. But those were fixed so that Adolfo's name does not say president, but instead a member of Hope and Stand. So can I have a motion of approval for the minutes of October 23, 2020?
Motion.
Okay, thank you. And then can I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay, and then that was Casson, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Casson. Thank you, guys. Moving on to our board reports and information items. So our reports are to be limited to 1 minute each. Additional time can be allotted with a motion and a second from the Senate. So I'll go ahead and start with our advisor reports. Any reports from our advisors?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. First off, I like seeing all the costumes and the Halloween theme. So very, very cool. Thank you guys for participating. So just two really quick things for me to report on. The Information, Communication, and Technology Committee is looking for an SGA representative. Their meetings are held the first Wednesday of the month via Zoom from 12:30 to 2. So if you are available and you are interested in being part of this, the Information, Communication, Technology Committee, please let me know or let Suzanne know. You can even, let us know in the chat. And if, you want to further discuss this, we can, meet on the side to talk more about it. And the Institutional Assessment and Program Review Committee has 2 spaces open, and they would like 2 SGA students to join those. These meetings are held on the 3rd Thursday of the month via Zoom from 12:30 to 2 as well. And the next meeting is on November 19th. And that is all I have to report on. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jose. And Suzanne, any reports this week?
Yeah, just really quickly, I know I sent all you guys an email to schedule individual meetings. So if you guys can, respond to that, I know I booked a few with some of you. So that's just going to be to go over your educational plan, make sure you guys are on track, help you out with any resources you need, and just kind of check in to see how you all are doing and support you guys, especially during, this challenging time that we're going through. So reach back out to me. We'll schedule something next week or the week after. It's really short, just a 30-minute meeting, but if you have questions, let me know. And then, yeah, we'll meet and go over all that good stuff. So that's all I have.
Perfect. Thank you, Suzanne. Moving on to our executive officer reports. Any executive officers who would like to report this week?
I got some.
Perfect, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the morning ICC session announcements or like our reports, and then Nick, if you want to take the afternoon. But right now for ICC, in our morning session, esports wants to promote to see if there's any interest. So our gaming club, if anybody's interested, women in STEM want to have women speakers share their experiences in the STEM field, and that's kind of what we have for the morning session. And PTK, just a reminder, if you have been inducted or you've accepted the membership, the induction ceremony is tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. So we kind of want people to dress up too as well. If you dress up, I believe, I think we might be celebrating something. So go for it. Make sure it's school appropriate. I mean, college appropriate. And if you have any questions, you could always email PTK. You can always email our advisors, Nick Reeves and Jen Borton. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Victoria. Any other executive officer reports this week? Going once, going twice. Alrighty, I'll go ahead and move on to our legislative report. Any senators who would like to report this week? Okay, moving on to our committee reports. Any committees would like to report this week as well? Going once.
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. Go ahead.
So public relations had their committee meeting this week and it went really well. We went over some flyers that are going to happen. We had an update on the t-shirts and we talked about possibly having a TikTok, but we'll talk about that later when we can. And that's my update. Thanks.
I was gonna,
Perfect.
can I also build
Go ahead.
off of that? Sorry, really fast. So building off of that, yeah, as Cassie said, we have flyers. I have a flyer done for pic sharing night. I just need to basically send it to PR and like see if I need to make any changes, and I'll make changes based off of that. But I would share it with you guys right now if I was home, but I'm not home yet. So yeah, that's that.
Alrighty, thank you, Daly. Any other committee reports this week?
I have a report.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah, so yesterday we have a meeting, but because at that time I'm at work, so it'll be like a bit like not very smooth. I can't hear anything yesterday. But anyway, we just go through the budget and we will confirm those actual expenses hopefully next week when Martha come back. And then we kind of like we decide to discuss some fundraising ideas, prepare for next semester, just because this semester we already have so many things. It's already November and everyone is busy. And so we'll reserve those fundraising events for next semester. I will start like contacting those local restaurants and just to get more info. Yeah, and that's my report. I will talk more when we talk about agenda item.
Perfect. Thank you, Tracy. Any other committee reports before I go ahead and move on? Alrighty, I'll go ahead and move on to virtual events. Junio, do you want to go ahead and just take this and just give us a little update on the events that are coming up? I know we did have our Halloween movie night yesterday, so if you just want to go ahead and just let us know what's going on. I know it's not a discussion action item this week, but just a brief update.
Yes, thank you, Brian. So we have our Thankfulness Week coming up in November 16th to November 22nd, 2020. And I forgot to mention last meeting that we scheduled a game night with Hope and STEM on November 18th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we also have a Pictionary night the following week, which is November 29th, 2020 at 5 p.m. And we also still have our music study hour every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And yeah, I think that's about all. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Jania. And then just one quick announcement, I guess you could say, for virtual events. We do have our next town hall in November. It is scheduled November 18th, so please save the date, November 18th from 11 to 12 p.m. I would really love to have all those SGA members that were not present in our first town hall. That way we can go ahead and introduce you all to this next town hall. If you do have any questions or concerns, go ahead and let me know. DM me, send me a text, and I'll be glad to share more information for you guys. But the next town hall is scheduled November 18th from 11 to 12. But if there are no other virtual events, I'm going to go ahead and move on to SGA feedback. So kudos, confessions, and concerns. So this time is reserved for discussion among SGA legislators related to feelings, thoughts, intergroup dynamics, and group norms. Items on the agenda may not be discussed at this time. So how are we doing, everyone? How's everyone doing this week?
Pretty good. It's been a good week.
That's definitely great to hear. I'm definitely excited for the semester to rapidly end. I know midterms were really stressful this time. I think they were the most stressful out of my entire tenure at MSJC so far. So I'm definitely glad that the semester's almost there, and I'm almost to my last semester. So I'm really happy and excited. How's everyone else doing? Stephanie, Thomas, Bailey, Alexis, not to put you on the spotlight, but Tracy, how are we doing? Maricela, how are we doing? I see you.
I'm doing well, thank you so much. Sorry for coming in a little bit late. Today was a really fun morning. We got to tour. I was on campus, which is really interesting, and we got to visit the old bookstore, which is now transforming into a new space. So that will be exciting. But when we return on campus, things will look a lot different in Menifee. So I'm excited for you all to see that.
Perfect. And I see Caston in the chat. She did put, I'm good. I've had a good week. Smiley face. So thank you, Cass, for sharing that. I hope you had a great week as well. I know we have our advisors. We have Dr. Colson on the line as well. Dr. Colson, tell us, how are you doing? How's everything student life?
It's very good. I was with Maricela this morning as we sort of strategized and envisioned some of our important student services departments that are being moved from the modulars at Menifee's campus into the bookstore, or the old bookstore. That's going to be EOPS, the Eagle Access Center, the testing services, outreach, and care program. So it was a really nice morning to actually get together with people again in real time, all wearing our masks. But we had a good, I really appreciate Maricela's input on things like color palettes and all those important things that I don't know a lot about. But we had a great time, and let me just echo what Maricela said. I was over in our new 700 building, and I just I can't wait to see the expression on all of your faces when you see that space. It is beautiful. The bookstore has now permanently moved over there. The cafeteria is wonderful. The student life club space, the multicultural area is simply phenomenal. And it is something that students at MSJC have deserved for a very long time. And it's really something to get excited about. So, Brian, I'm doing great. I wish I could say the whole meeting, but I've got a 10:30 I got to jump off for. And just so everyone knows, we are so much looking forward to coming at a future SGA meeting, as Brian and I talked about yesterday, to get input from this group about our commencement for 2021. We're looking at a drive-through commencement, and we really can't do it without the important feedback we get from students. So thank you for that, Brian. Feel free to reach out to Ms. Paez Mendez. She's expecting an alert from you, and we'll get that scheduled before Thanksgiving. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Colson, for giving us that update. So as Dr. Colson did mention, We are going to work closely with him and Ms. Paige Mendes just in terms of getting commencement ready and what ideas we can pitch in and provide feedback for him. I do want to make sure we can create the best experience for our graduates, especially for those that were not able to get, an actual ceremony last year for 2020's class. So I would really love to create that ceremony, even in this virtual environment. So I will hopefully schedule that sometime before Thanksgiving, and I'll definitely let you guys know and give you a heads up before that. But thank you, Dr. Colson, for sharing that. Any kudos, confessions, or concerns this week? Before I move on, I want to go ahead and give enough time for everyone to speak. Let me see. Thomas, Nicholas, how are we doing? Don't make me unmute you guys.
Doing good, Brian. Doing good. Just got one more homework assignment due this week, and I'm big chilling. Then I'm gonna go to the outlets, probably get some clothes. So things are going pretty good right now. What about you?
Perfect. Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate you sharing that. Any kudos, confessions, or concerns before we move on? Going once, going twice. Alrighty, moving on then. I will go ahead and move on to our public forum. So public comment on non-agenda items. So all public comments are to be limited to be 1 minute each. Additional time can be allotted with the time minus second from the Senate. Suzanne, should we, or advisors, should we just go ahead and do we have any public comments this week?
No, none in the email.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and move on to our discussion and action items. So the following items may be discussed and voted on at this time. 8 minutes per topic with 1 minute per speaker. Members of the public may speak after the discussion by the voting body has closed and before a vote by the voting body is taken. So first on our agenda list, we do have a presentation by Rebecca Teague on strategic student equity plan and update on the CARES Act emergency funding for students. So Rebecca, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Brian, and you folks for allowing us this opportunity to share the draft strategic equity plan with you. Before I get into that, because I do have a colleague of mine, Roy Ramon, and he will be tag teaming with me on the strategic equity plan, but I wanted to give you all an update regarding our CARES Act funding. So Suzanne had reached out and said that you all had some questions, and I want to give you some updates. So just to give you kind of some background on the CARES Act funding, I'm going to read my notes because there's specific amounts that I want to be sure to share with you. So as a district last spring, so that would have been spring of 20, our district received $9.7 million total in CARES Act funding. 50% of that was intended to be used specifically for emergency student aid, and that totaled approximately $4.8 million that was set aside just to provide students with emergency funding and support. As of September 30th, so that's about a month ago, we have to do a report every 30 days, every 45 days. We had given out $3.4 million to over 1,500 students, and that was within the spring, summer, and early fall term. We did a new disbursement. It just happened, I believe, a week or a week and a half ago for our fall disbursement, where we took all eligible students underneath the specific CARES Act eligibility requirements, and we ran that information, and we sent out approximately $1.5 million in CARES Act funding to over 600 students. Now, if you add up the numbers, if you add 3.4 and 1.5, it surpasses the 4.8 million that we had set aside. And that's because our institution actually decided to allocate some of the institutional portion. So in addition to what we have for our student emergency aid, we have that institutional portion that's about 50%. And we decided to take some of that money to be used for student emergency aid. So we have used that money. We used about $1 million of that and $500,000 from our CARES Act student emergency aid. And we gave out that first initial disbursement. We realized very quickly there was another batch of folks that were eligible but didn't meet our initial criteria. And so there are still about 475 students that we are validating through another additional process. And we expect to be able to do another disbursement this semester to those 475 students. Don't quote me on the number, like that's what the number is now. They have to get validated and make sure that they meet all the eligibility requirements, but that's about the number that we're looking at. So you can communicate that to your students, let them know, your peers, that we do expect another second disbursement this fall. And then at that point, we will have expensed all of the emergency student support funding under the CARES Act as of the end of this year. That's not to say that our institution isn't looking at other strategies in the spring to be able to support our students financially. Our foundation received an award through the California Community College Chancellor's Foundation Office. We also have some other funding set aside that we are looking at ways to support our students, because we understand that no one expected to be here in fall online doing all the things we need to do, and absolutely no one expected it to continue into the spring term. So we definitely know that our students have some significant barriers and challenges associated with technology and food insecurities and housing insecurities. So please know we are all doing our very best to make sure that we can support you the best that we can. So that's just a summary of the CARES Act funding distributions. I wasn't sure if anyone had any specific questions related to that or concerns that you'd like to share before we skip on over to the strategic equity plan draft.
I do have a question, Rebecca. For those students that are, those 475 students that are awaiting news, what can they do meanwhile to receive an update in regards to their, their, I guess you could say, their status? Who can they reach out to in this particular case?
So at this time, we're aware of the 475, and some of those students have reached out to us. Typically, we would encourage them to go through our financial aid office if they have specific questions relative to the CARES Act distribution or their eligibility. But please know our director of financial aid is on it, and we expect for the disbursement to happen very soon. I would imagine within the next 2 weeks, because she still needs to validate. She'll be doing the awards, and then our business office has to validate the awards and process. So it just takes a few steps, but I believe within the next 2 weeks, we should have that funding out.
Okay, perfect. Any questions? Yeah.
Okay. So if there aren't any questions, and if you have questions after, or you're like, hey, I need more information, you can always route that through Suzanne and Jose, and they'll get me the information, and we can get it back to all of you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and we'll do our best to get you a response. So with that, I want to share my screen and introduce you to Roy Ramon, who is my partner in crime today, for this draft strategic equity plan. And we're so excited to share this with you. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of background, and then Roy's going to take it away with the presentation. So every 3 years, we go through an exhaustive, comprehensive strategic planning process. This was no different in this cycle, except COVID got in the way. And so it is a 3-year plan that we design every cycle. And this plan will be from 2021 to 2024. And what's really special and unique about this specific strategic plan is that our institution made it a priority to merge the work that we're doing relative to equity, inclusion, and diversity within our strategic plan. And so we've called it the MSJC Strategic Equity Plan. So you will see that this document really integrates all of the work that we are doing relative to the board resolution that was passed this summer, that we are to become an anti-racist institution and do all that we can to support our African American and Black students and our highest priority groups, and then also our call to action. So you'll see that there's an integration. What we are hoping to do is share this with all of the constituent groups. So you find folks get it today. We've shared it with Academic Senate. We are doing it with Classified Senate, and then all of the participatory governance groups. So at some point, all the committees will take a peek at this. And then we're also hosting some office hours so that as folks review this document, if they have any questions, concerns, feedback, or input, they can meet with us, our team, our strategic equity plan team, provide us that feedback, and we can make those considerations as we're finalizing the draft. The intent is that we are going to have lots of listening sessions, all of that through the end of this term, so through December. And we aim to get this information as a formal information item to our Board of Trustees in January. As you know, we're having an election next week. Go out and vote. Make sure you've done all your ballots and all of that. So definitely vote, vote, vote. And at the Board of Trustees meeting in November, which is a week later, we will be sharing this just as an information. But then in January, as we're going to have new board members more than likely because of this election, we wanted them to have a new opportunity to review the entire draft in its final format. And then in February, we will be bringing it to the Board of Trustees as an action item for them to approve. And then from that point, this document will then start to go into implementation in the early spring months of the semester, and then for formal implementation starting in fall of 2021. So these are all concepts and information that you'll see. It probably won't be foreign to you. You probably heard of these conversations that we've been having, but we're really, really excited to share it with you. So with that, I'll turn it over to Roy so he can walk through the document with you all.
Hi, good morning, everyone. If my video freezes like it just did, which I knew it was going to do, forgive me. It usually always picks me up at the worst moment of freezing. So you'll see that intermittently. I'll just have my picture that I have there. So looking at and there's going to be a lot here. And like Rebecca said, we've been taking this through all our other constituencies and committees and groups across the district. And there's a lot in here, and it's really exciting because what really this is it's a culmination of a bunch of things happening at once. And I am currently the faculty coordinator for Guided Pathways. And so that's another piece of that you'll see in here. And really what we're trying to get at is that this is going to be weaved throughout the entire student experience and staff experience and faculty experience for our district. And so just looking through this, like I said, you'll see in some of the other slides, there's a lot of information there. I'm not going to read through all of it, but I want you at least to have some eyes on it. And like I said, the rest of our groups are also stewing on it and absorbing it and taking a look at it. And that's really what we want you to do as well, because actually of all our groups, I feel like you are the ones with the most expertise about what the student experience is, and it's so valuable to have that input. So if you look at the draft plan here, this is what the table of contents looks like. So we'll have a letter from the president, the strategic equity plan development chronology, MSJC district leadership, the equity plan development acknowledgements and appreciations, really kind of how this all came about, the executive summary introduction, shared equity pledge vision and values, the strategic equity plan themes, goals and objectives, plan outcomes, and then equity plan goals summary. Something that you will notice in here is that there are no outcomes yet, but that those will be coming. And that's really, I think what's exciting about this is, we've had student equity for a number of years in the California community college system. And I feel like we're at a point now where it's not just words on paper, like things are gonna really be happening, and they are already happening. So you'll be seeing some things on here that are happening. Like we're in the moment, we are riding the bike and building it at the same time. So I think we go to through the slides now, Rebecca. This is my favorite slide because it just puts it out there. And that first bullet is my favorite. Our institutional equity priorities. I am going to read all of these because I really am excited about these. Disrupt and dismantle racist systems and mindsets that permeate our institution and communities as we work to progress as an equity and justice-oriented organization. Support and prioritize the creation of anti-racist policies and procedures to eradicate barriers associated with access, enrollment, completion, transfer, retention for our highest priority students, our African-American and Black student body. Dismantle racial inequities in institutional policies, procedures, and practices that are impacting the success and achievement of our highest priority students, hiring, retention, and promotion of professionals of color, in alignment of institution with its mission vision, and values. Okay. So we're moving on to our goals and objectives. Goal one is to promote, encourage, and create culture of racial equity, diversity, inclusion to address and eliminate systemic racism, academic barriers, and educational injustice through implementation of culturally responsive and affirming practices. And I'll just read, I'll kind of touch on a couple of what this means is that in going back to your total student experience, that we're looking to ensure that all of our students are engaged and coming from the benefits that you bring. You know, we're having a discussion as faculty right now about avoiding deficit mindset, right? That students come in with deficits. And I heard something from the chancellor's office the other day that just struck me. And it was, you know, thinking about the term deficits. And there was a leader in I think from another system that said, it's not that students come with deficits, it's that we have a debt to students. And so flipping that thinking about what students come and bring to us, really what we want to do is that when we have culturally responsive and affirming practices, it's just not in the classes that sometimes people think that where they live, like in the humanities. Like I'm in English and sociology and history and art. No, it should be living in STEM. It should be living in our counseling area. It should be living in when you walk into the door into enrollment. And really that's just what this is about. How are we infusing all of this in your student experience? And so again, I think I'm in the fourth bullet, reduce barriers to entry and improve institutional procedures, practices, and processes for onboarding students, particularly those traditionally underrepresented and underserved populations. Engage, and I'm reading the last one, engage in outreach to build positive relationships with our diverse communities, promote feelings of inclusion, enhance intercultural sensitivity, and foster mutual respect. You'll notice throughout this, you might see some things that are some duplicates, right? Ideas, objectives, and that's because we want them again to live in all these areas. They're not just siloed in different parts of what your student experience is going to be. You can go to goal 2. Goal 2, create structured educational experiences that supports students from point of entry to timely and efficient attainment of educational goal in both on-campus and distance education environments. And for me, again, this is because I am heavily involved in what Guided Pathways is going to be once we begin rolling out. You know, those maps have been created, and really what we're doing is building to serve what they call the 4 pillars in Guided Pathways, which is clarify the path, enter the path. I just drew a total blank. I'm going to ensure learning, but there's something in between. Stay on the path and ensure learning. I have to remind myself every day too what those pathways are. And so you'll notice in this particular goal that there are 2 objectives that are bold. That's part of the vision for success. Those have to be in our objectives for this. And so those 2 are decrease the average number of units accumulated by Mount San Jacinto Community College students earning associate degrees, and increase the % of existing CTE students who report being employed in their field of study. One of these that's particularly at least important to me and is key to the piece with Guided Pathways is it's the second to the last bullet, which says redefine institutional roles and boundaries to break down departmental boundaries that inhabit well-coordinated and nurturing support and focus on students. That's really what we're trying to move next in terms of what's going to, in essence, going to be our SGA Guided Pathways Committee. And I think we're still working with the name on that. But a key piece of that is that we're going to have student representation on that, which is going to include Brian, and then I believe it's 4 standing members from your group, or at large, excuse me, from your group. And so that's really going to be important, and I'm excited about that piece. We can go to goal 3. Implement, strengthen, and transform curriculum, classroom management, and academic and student support service to focus on the success and retention of our highest priority students in both on-campus and distance education. So again, for me, this is the piece that's about staying on the path. How do we support you while you're on your journey through MSJC. And I will just highlight a couple of these. And again, like I said, there's a lot here. We encourage you to go back to this, absorb it. If there's any feedback you want to give, we're really looking for that feedback, especially from this group. So one of the objectives is to identify, implement, and support high impact practices that embrace the concept of equity and diversity to encourage the equitable participation of all students. And then I'm going to read the second to the last one. I'm reading my favorites. You can find your favorites. Expand academic and co-curricular programming to encompass diverse cultures and that prepare students. See, I think we can go to goal 4. Oh, wait, yeah, okay. Goal 4, foster an institutional climate that promotes inclusivity, is welcoming, engaging, and creates community and belonging for students, faculty, and staff. This is a very robust slide, as you can see. And so, again, we're thinking about, I love the metaphor of weaving, right? That we're going to be weaving this throughout the student experience, that it's not, none of these live independently. They really belong in every aspect of the experience at MSJC. And I'll just give a couple of minutes so that you don't have to hear me read through this so much, but give you a couple of minutes just to look these over. Okay, sure that wasn't enough time, but I want to keep us on pace. I know you've got other things to get to, so we'll go to the next slide. Goal 5, partner with local business, industries, cities, and communities to increase experiential opportunities for students to explore, transition, or promote within the regional workforce. And this is really, this is really another important aspect in terms of making that connection between why you're here and career, right? And we know that obviously we want to create engaged citizens and communities and members of society, but we also understand that you're also here to better your lives. And I think that's an important part in terms of the relationships that we're building in the community. And really, this is what this goal is about. How do we better strengthen the community and then your opportunities in this community, right? And so if you look at on the right hand at the top, enhance the MSJC career outreach activities to better showcase internal, local, and regional opportunities for internships as well as jobs. I'll read the last one. Employ effective and targeted marketing and outreach strategies for both the districts as a whole and individualized programs. And so again, this is the connection between all of our community partners in terms of not only jobs, but engagement with the community. Goals, we're on goal 6 right now. Strategic enrollment planning and fiscal responsibility, support the optimization of strategic enrollment management, planning, and student success to ensure fiscal viability. And really this one is, these are some of the things oftentimes that you're not aware of. You know, you maybe because you're involved in student government and you have some more insight, but most of our student body doesn't know what happens behind the curtains, right? And how things work. And really this is, in essence, how we're going to make it an easier entry. How do we clarify the path and how do we help you enter the path in a way that doesn't make it, you know, some faculty and folks who have never kind of seen the enrollment process got to experience it a while back. And I had a new appreciation for students in my class. And it was like when a student found themselves in a seat in my class or in a slot in one of my online classes, I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing that you are in my class, because of some of the barriers that we had, right? And we didn't intend those barriers to be there. It was just a matter of sometimes what happens with large institutions. And so what this really, what this goal is trying to get at is how do we make this experience better? It should not be difficult for you to navigate entry into our system. And so this is really what this is about. And we'll go to goal 7. Facilities planning and improvement, provide facilities at all locations that are inviting, accessible, and safe. And so it was exciting to hear one of your members talk about their experience of what there's some of the changes that they're seeing on campus. And that it is, I was at campus right at the beginning to get some things I needed to do my work at home. And it was eerie, sad, and I was feeling a lot of nostalgia. So I can imagine how it felt for you to be back on campus. I know we're going to be back at some point, and I'm looking forward to it. And it's really, I think this is our opportunity to have some things happen and to see them and to kind of come back to not a new campus. Well, one of our campuses will be new, but to a new experience. And I know there'll be some challenges to that, but I'm glad that we're looking at all of our campuses in a way that hopefully is serving all of our communities. And so some of these things are, like we've heard, are already happening. They were happening prior to COVID and our shutdown. And the LRCs, for example, there was some really beautiful work that was done to make those more engaging learning environments. And so I'm really excited and looking at the plans. And some of you probably already seen those plans in terms of what the campus is going to look like when we go back. It's really exciting, but we want to make sure that this is continuing, and it's not a one-time deal. This is a continuing assessment that we need to always make about what our facilities look like, whether it's online in the online modality or in face-to-face, and that, again, that it's ensuring that they meet the needs of our students. And that's it. Thank you for your time, and sorry my video is not working. It decides to take Fridays off, and so I apologize because I would prefer to be on video. So thank you for your time, and we really look forward to any comments or questions that you might have. Yes, thank you, Roy, and thank you, Rebecca, for coming and giving us this presentation. I really do appreciate it. Just giving more information on this plan to our students as well as to our SGA team. So thank you so much for being present. Does anyone have any questions for them at all? Anything at all?
And we will give a copy to Suzanne and Jose so they can distribute the draft to you, because I know that was a lot of information to absorb very quickly. And so we'll make sure we get copies over to them to share, and feel free to share it with whomever. It's a draft document. It's out there for the whole world to see. And we are very interested in any feedback you might have.
Perfect. Thank you. Cassie, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is related, but I've done some research on other colleges and things, and some colleges have LGBT resource centers, and I was just wondering if you guys ever had that idea of an LGBT resource center here at MSJC. I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that, really.
Yes, Caston, I am so glad you brought that up, because that was an ongoing conversation we had with our retreats. So we had 6 to 8 weeks of retreats where we invited students and classified and faculty members to have conversations about what does the strategic plan look like, one, but what does the equity look like at our campus? Like, what visibly can we see? Because so much of that strategic plan is based in process or practice or procedures or board policies. And the conversation about, one, creating an equity center came up frequently, or a multicultural center. Another was creating a pride center, but a center for all the other groups as well. DACA, students, undocumented students, a space for our African-American and Black students through Umoja or Amen. And so that's absolutely a part of the conversation. And I think where you'll see that, Caston, in the strategic plan is that the outcome will be to explore the opportunities to create centers. This is a 3-year period, and unfortunately we know like budget might be tight these next 3 years considering just everything that's happened with COVID. But if we leave that in there as exploring, finding space, because there's going to be a lot of moves on campus. So as soon as Temecula pops up, which we expect very, very soon, and we get to come back, obviously, things will start to shift and room and space will become available on the San Jacinto campus, on the Menifee campus. And that's why it's so critically important that the strategic plan addresses those sites specifically on renovations or construction, so that it is including what you're talking about, Caston, creating spaces for students of specific affinity groups to gather, to have a place to have community, and to feel a sense of belonging at the campus. So absolutely, that'll be a bit more explicit in the outcomes, but I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Catherine, thank you. Interesting point. I did wanted to bring that up as well to Rebecca and Roy. So thank you. Great point to bring up. I know Stephanie and Tracy both said thank you to both Roy and Rebecca. So thank you guys once again, truly, for providing us with this information. Any other questions or concerns or comments for Rebecca and Roy? I know they do have another meeting, so I do want to make sure they have enough time to, get ready for their other meeting. But any other comments or questions at all? I think you guys did a great job. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All righty, guys, let me go ahead and share my agenda. And we'll go ahead and move on then to our second discussion and action item, which is the approval of $3,000 for Pledge for Success Relief Fund, as well as $3,000 for Student Government Association Scholarship. It has a scholarship just because we don't know the name so far yet, so which is why we have it under a question mark, but we do have those amounts pending. Tracy or your Financial Affairs Committee team, would you guys like to just provide a little bit more insight on this line item?
Yes, thank you, Brian. So we just approved $3,000 for SGA Pledge for Success. Sorry, relief fund, and $3,000 for Student Government Association Scholarship, I think 2 weeks ago. So basically for relief funds, $3,000 will be $100 per person, and we're going to distribute like to 30 students. And for the scholarships, we will do like $500 per person, and it just depends. Hopefully we can get 6 students selected. So yeah, that's just a plan. And we need to approve this amount of money today, so I can just record them in the budget.
Perfect. Anything else our advisors would like to add on this one? I think it's just pretty solid, but I just want to go ahead and just provide as much detail as possible before we go ahead and vote on this one.
Yeah, question, Tracy. So is this in the relief fund? Is that including the $1,000 that we approved last semester?
It doesn't really include it
So-
because
okay.
yeah, because I emailed Tina to just check our SGA account because I'm not sure is that $1,000 still like unused budget?
It should
Or-
be. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we just approved. We didn't officially go through with it, right? At the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, so
So-
it just rolled over into this year. So I just want to make sure you're approving the right amount. If we want to do 3,000 total, then we need to approve 2,000 today. Or if you want to do 4,000, then approving 3,000 right now is sufficient.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you don't have to spend that extra 1,000, right? Too, but
yeah, we
you
can do that. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're actually spending the 6,000 in total, no matter like we prove $1,000 last semester or not.
Okay, so yeah, since we already approved 1,000 last semester, then technically we only need to approve 2 right now for the
Yeah.
Pledge for Success.
We can, yeah.
But however you guys want to do it.
Okay, perfect. So I'll go ahead for this one. Can I get a motion to amend this item to say and stay approval for $2,000 for SGA Pledge for Success and $3,000 for Student Government Association Scholarship? Can I have a motion for that?
I'll motion.
Okay, and then was that Thomas?
Yes.
Perfect. And can I have a second?
I second.
Perfect. Thank you, Alexis.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. So why does the line item 2 say 3,000 instead of 2,000? Did I miss something?
Yeah, so that was a mistake. We did already approve $1,000 last year in SGA for the Pledge for Success, but in this line item, we just had it as 3,000 as total. So we don't want to approve, another 1,000 extra. That's why I just asked for a motion to amend this line item to have it say instead approval for $2,000 instead for SGA Pledge for Success.
Okay, sorry, my brain went. Okay, thank you.
No worries. And since we did get that motion carried, this is the new line item now. So this is the approval of $2,000 for SGA Pledge for Success Relief Fund, as well as $3,000 for Student Government Association Scholarship. So this is a new line item. Any questions, comments, concerns for Tracy and her team before you guys go ahead and vote on this one? Going once. Going twice. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask if I can get a motion of approval for line item 2.
I motion.
Okay, and that was Stephanie?
Yes.
Perfect, and can I have a second?
I second.
Okay, perfect, thank you, Alexis, and we're gonna go ahead and move it on to a roll call. Stephanie, you can go ahead and take it away.
Okay, we have Vice President of Menifee Valley Campus, Nicholas.
Aye.
Vice President of San Jacinto Campus, Victoria.
Victoria did have to leave, but I will count her as an abstention.
Okay. And then Student Trustee Ariana, is she here?
She is not here, so she's another abstention as well.
Commissioner of College Activities, Janelle.
Yes.
Commissioner of Financial Affairs, Tracy.
Yes.
Commissioner of Institutional Effectiveness, Stephanie. I also agree. Commissioner of Public Relations, Caston.
Yes, I agree.
Senator of Financial Affairs, Thomas.
Aye.
Senator of Financial Affairs, Alexis.
Aye.
And then Senator of Public Relations, Daly.
Aye.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephanie. So by majority rule, with 2 abstentions from Victoria and Ariana, the motion is carried. So we did approve $2,000 for SGA Pledge for Success, as well as $3,000 for Student Government Association, including the $1,000 that we had already approved last year for Pledge for Success. So in total, it will be a total of $6,000, $3,000 for each Pledge for Success, as well as the Student Government Association Scholarship. So thank you, guys. Moving on, I'll go ahead and move on to our interview, discussion, and appointment on SGA available appointed positions. So we do have Aaron Gonzalez on the line. He is, I don't want to take the spotlight. Aaron, can you go ahead and just provide us with who you are, your major, and why are you joining SGA and what position you are seeking?
Good morning, everybody. Hauka, hello. So my major, I'm a second year and my major's in science, specifically in pre-nursing. And, it's an honor to kind of be here. And I think the last question you asked was about why I want to apply to this position. Okay. Mm-hmm. Definitely why I want to apply is because I see that, when we think of student equity and we think of cultural affairs, we have to understand that historically, higher education facilities have been maybe molded through a lens of like a white colonial narrative. And, as we get more students of diverse backgrounds and cultures and, everything in between and experiences, we have to understand how do we kind of strive, appreciate, and kind of propel these students to have equitable outcomes, because equality and equity are very different. Equality is something that I think one of the things that I remember from a professor Minya says is like, if I give everybody a pair of like, let's say of shoes, right? And they're all size 9s. Not everybody's going to fit in those shoes. And some of them might benefit from fitting in those shoes. And they're really nice shoes, right? But equity is just kind of like giving every single person the opportunity and the outcome of having like a lot of like their own size shoes and having the same kind of outcomes. So we have to understand, when it comes to equity and commissions and cultural affairs, we have to continue to strive to kind of research, analyze, and really get feedback from the student body at our campuses, and how we could just provide more events and cultural appreciation for everybody, and have a sense of community, not necessarily a climate, but of community. Because it's fundamental that every single person has a place of home, has a place of community, where regardless, where we continue kind of like empower, for everyone to get their degree and kind of make those connections with everyone else in between. So that's kind of where I wanted to start and really strive. And it was a coincidence that I found this position, like SGA in particular, because I was just looking for clubs to join this year. And this is definitely one of those things where I know that my sense of activism and being an advocate for my community, being indigenous and being Chicanx, I see that there isn't a lot of people like me, or there's not a lot of people like me in classrooms, or there's not a lot of things that are mentioning in classrooms. And I want to make sure that not only me, but other people that I see, that Black students, that, Muslim students, that everyone else has an opportunity to feel a sense of community and a sense of being home, And I think that's kind of where I wanted to really transform that and kind of provide more insight and build on that.
Totally agree. Aaron, can you go ahead and tell us what position you are trying to apply for?
Of course, yeah, it's going to be the commissioners of, I think, student equity and cultural affairs.
Perfect, thank you. Questions from our advisors or you guys as well? Any questions for Aaron?
Oops, forgot my.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So what makes you a strong candidate to be on the SGA team?
When it comes to being a strong candidate, I think it's the experience that I have. I think, like I was saying, like being an indigenous person and being a native and also being Chicanx, I see that there's a lot of inequity in our community, and not just our community, but other communities. And how do we bridge that gap to make sure that every single person has that opportunity to feel empowered, because as a student and even as a person of color, I need to make sure that not only me, that my privileges are being sustained and that I have the opportunities, but that other people that historically don't have access to those things can continue to have access, but still feel empowered culturally and feel like, I'm at campus and I feel like I'm at home. I don't have to feel unsafe. I know there's campus activities and there's a sense of community and maybe just different clubs and different centers. I think providing that space is really important and fundamental for students to kind of continue to be at school, be at a higher education facility. Hope that answers your question a little bit. Any other questions, guys?
I have a question.
Okay.
So what characteristics or qualities do you think you can bring to our SGA team to better enhance this overall?
Qualities or characteristics? I think one of the qualities or characteristics would probably be just the amount of passion I have for activism and advocacy and really education. So that's kind of providing this spectrum of different qualities that kind of make me where I won't give up, and I'll continue to do as much research and as much outreach as possible for the student body to kind of get a voice, not only in this space, but in everybody's like the student body at large, because this is a very niche part, and we cannot make decisions about student equity or equality or cultural affairs without the feedback of our students. So that's really fundamental for me to kind of critically analyze these things and kind of question these things and kind of build on those things to continue to provide that environment and that community of like, student equity and kind of like a sense of culture and of being at home, maybe as well my passion for activism and kind of like appreciation for every single culture and kind of social justice at large. It's providing this amount of equity to every single person, no matter the experiences. It can be someone that's starting college right out of high school to somebody like me who kind of took a break from college and kind of went back. And it's important that we kind of understand every experiences.
I totally agree with you there, Aaron. Well said. I have one question for you. Identify one flaw you see yourself, as as you see yourself as a person, and what is it, or how would you improve that and build on that in SGA?
One of the flaws I think I might have, we don't like to talk about flaws, but maybe it's just the amount of commitment that I try too much to do. I think when it comes to like classrooms or school and community, I'm always thinking like, how do I critically think about all these things, and how do I philosophically kind of like fix that, when it comes to inequities. But I have to be able to make sure that my mental health and my disability is also kind of, that there's like a holistic approach to myself, and that I can't always fix the world's problems or the community at large, but also, taking space for myself as well. I think I've committed myself to so many things, and I need to just be able to kind of personally, calm down and just kind of kind of provide myself as well more feedback, and I don't know. This is a kind of hard question, but along those lines, yeah. Hopefully that makes sense.
No worries. Thank you, Erin. Any questions for Erin? Any comments? Anything at all for Erin at all?
I have a question.
Oh, you could go.
So, Erin, if you could be any animal, what would you be?
Animal?
Yeah.
You're
Like,
asking.
what animal represents you in a way?
What's funny is that's a very indigenous native kind of thing, and honestly, as much as it's weird, it's probably a rabbit. And why a rabbit? Well, honestly, the rabbit is the type of animal that is very quick, is very in essence kind of innocent, but somewhat some type of thing that kind of, you know, I don't know, when it's neutral, it's like it's neutral. You don't really, you're not gonna, the rabbit's not really the predator. It's kind of unfortunately, it's like the type of like animal that's very much so like, there. And we think that, I don't know, there's just something about the rabbit that makes me feel like it kind of aligns with my personality, and kind of why I feel like being very neutral and kind of like being here is like, and being prompted to all these things makes me feel, I don't know, like that. There's a lot. I'm so sorry. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Or any other questions?
What are 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
Dang, I was gonna ask that one.
Do you wish to describe myself? Probably the first word would probably be Chicanx, or indigenous, empowered, and resistant. I think those are the top words to me that I always use as a mantra to continue to be at school and continue to just get this education and live my life where I try to give as much equity and question our infrastructure and our society.
Perfect. Jose, Suzanne, any questions for Erin? I know I want to hear something from you guys as well. Any questions that come to your mind?
I don't have any questions, no. So this is normally, your guys' interview, but yeah, I've been very happy with all the questions I've been hearing and the responses from Erin. So that's all I can really say. Thank you, though, Brian.
Yeah, no worries. And then I do see Cassie, she did say you're doing great, Erin. Yeah, you're doing definitely great. Any other questions? I want to give one question, but I'm going to go ahead and let everyone else go first.
I have one quick question. I know you probably answered this, but what are you most excited about for this position?
What I'm most excited about this position is, maybe the name says it itself, but it's also is providing that equity and that sense of belonging for every single person. And when it comes to the disproportionately disadvantaged, my whole point is to strive to kind of bring, every single experiences that we've had that every student's had, and kind of bring like facilitate events and host different stuff and provide outreach and resources to every single person, because I want every single student, no matter what their age is or what their experience is, to feel like they're welcome in this campus, and not just welcome, but also have a sense of being, a sense of belonging, a sense of community, not just with every single person. I know, because there's a lot of diversities at our campus, but how do we connect every single diversity together? And how do we build on providing memberships or clubs or environments where every single person can go to and kind of associate themselves and learn from each other, and provide that sense of being open-minded and equitable to everyone, And that also has to do a lot with the infrastructure of our campus. So it's like, how do we adjust that lens of like this white colonial understanding of how things are or historically have been, and how do we change that? And that's something that I've constantly have been, try to question in my classroom and just in the campus itself. I hope that answers your question.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Cassie.
No, you can go.
Just a quick question that I have. When do you plan to transfer, Aaron?
I don't plan to transfer, actually.
Okay. Oh, because you're doing nursing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, and I'm gonna be in my last semester next semester, so this is my second to last semester, which is exciting and nerve-wracking.
Mhm.
You stole my question, Suzanne.
Oh, sorry.
I do have a question for you, Aaron.
Mhm.
So, a little bit about me. I had this position previously, and I would just like to know, what changes would you like to have on campus? No pressure if you don't know yet, but like, what changes would you like to see on campus with this position, if that makes sense?
What changes? That's a great question, because I think you kind of hit on that when you asked that question about student equity. And I think it was called the Student Equity Plan, Strategic Equity Plan, where we need to have incorporate centers and actual spaces where not just clubs, but actually centers where we have people like, an Indigenous center, we have a African American Black center, that we have these centers that other campuses have had too. And build that infrastructure where we can have dialogue and discussions and have everyone have a sense of belonging in this campus. I mean, it's one thing to say that, but it's one thing to actually physically do that, and we have to continue to strive on that. And to me, I've always questioned, like, why isn't there an LGBTQT plus center at our campus? Like, I see every single other campus have that, but why don't we have that? Like, how do we continue to resist and kind of advocate for those things? And someone has to do it. And I don't think a lot of people or a lot of students have the time or the space or the money or anything else to kind of be at this position and really talk about these things. And that's why I want to be here as the echo for everybody, every student. That's what I think, personally. And just continue to have more feedback and more, I guess, surveys and just analyze and research ways that we can build on these things, and host a lot of cultural events as well. Not just one culture or the other, but multiple cultures, and get a lot of other people from the community to kind of talk about culture and talk about empowerment, so everyone can feel like they can be empowered to get their education and connect with every single person in their community.
Perfect. Thank you, Aaron. One last question on my end. What does your availability look like for this semester, for what we have left, as well as next semester? How do your classes look like overall?
Well, my classes look pretty good. I mean, I'm holding on for dear life because it's only, it's the last months of this semester, but my availability is really good, especially during these times of 10 to 12. I'm very open, and I'm open to kind of going to different other events and researching other events. So it's very open and flexible. Working at the campus kind of provides me that flexibility as well. So if there's something that interferes with my work, I can continue to kind of, I'm still at the campus, or I'm still virtually at the campus, so I can still provide that support and kind of attend any event that I need to attend, you know.
Perfect. I personally don't have any other questions. Does everyone else have any other questions or comments for Aaron at all?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I commend you, Aaron, for stepping up for this position because I know he's in one of my classes. So from his like speeches, he is super educated on everything that is cultural equity and everything like that. So yeah, I'm super excited to see what you can bring to SGA in the future. Thank you.
Definitely. I really appreciate that comment, Janelle. It's one thing to actually talk about them and it's one thing to actually act on them. And I want to be that person that kind of can build and act on it, but also get everyone else to act on it too. So we have more awareness of just culture and of equity at large, you know? I appreciate it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you, Aaron. Any other questions at all for Aaron? Going once, going twice. All righty, so we do have this line item to appoint, hopefully, Aaron as our Commissioner of Student Equity and Cultural Affairs. For this one, advisors, it's just simply a aye, nay, or abstention, correct? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So all those in favor of appointing Aaron Gonzalez as our Commissioner of Student Equity and Cultural Affairs, all those who approve?
Aye.
Alrighty, all those who disapprove. And any abstentions? We do have Victoria and Ariana not here present, so I'll definitely have them down. But by a majority rule, congratulations, Aaron. You are now our Commissioner of Student Equity and Cultural Affairs. So congrats, man.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. It's an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. I look forward to hopefully seeing you one day in person as well as everyone else once everything calms down. But congratulations, welcome to the team. I'll definitely add you to the email list, and then if anything, if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact me. I know we kind of chat over the phone, so if you have anything at all, just let me know. But congrats.
I really need to reiterate that thank you for allowing me to do this. I mean, it's an honor to actually be here, and it's one thing to actually act on it. So I appreciate all you guys' votes, and hopefully we can make a lot of change and a lot of transformation in our campus.
Thank you, Aaron. Well said. I'll go ahead and move on to our next discussion and action item, our continued discussion and approval of SJ Relief Fund and scholarship templates. So Tracy, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And just let me share my screen. Okay, so here's the templates we saw last Friday. I didn't really make a lot of changes. And I also created a guideline. It's just a draft here. So today, hopefully we can prove relief fund template and for scholarship one, because I know we have some questions like GPA qualification. We can discuss it. We don't have to really approve it today. But for relief fund, we really have to approve it today because this is something we have to done this semester. And for the guideline, we don't really have to approve the guidelines because we just need to reach an agreement of some basic info and general ideas. And then I can follow up with Rebecca. She will finalize a guideline for us. So that's what we want to do now. So let's take a look at the guidelines first. This is just a draft, and just let me know if there are any questions or concerns about this guideline.
Tracy, can you scroll down to the generally covered expenses portion?
Yeah. Do you guys finish reading the top part? Okay, I just go down.
Okay, and then just a question for you. Are these just, so these are like examples you found online or
I found
ideas?
online, yeah. Just
Okay.
examples. Like we don't have to really put them into guideline. Just give some,
Yeah.
examples here so we can understand. Like, for example, like students can just require the relief fund used for their like health insurance, those things. So for this one, I add a new question for our application. I asked them like, how are you going to use this relief fund if your application is approved for this purpose?
Yeah. So what is everyone's thought about this? Because generally with the relief fund, right, it's I mean, in my opinion, it's to relieve some sort of emergency or to help students with specifics with specific costs and expenses, right? Not always pertaining to tuition or anything, but I mean, for some, right, that is an emergency. Maybe they don't have the funds to pay for that tuition or for that class. So yeah, I'm just curious to hear from everyone. Of course, part of it was to bring this to the SGA to just further discuss. But yeah, thank you, Tracy. These are really good examples. So what does everyone think?
I personally like Tracy. Great job with your team on creating this. I definitely like having the examples in terms of what expenses they can have and what the relief fund will cover, hopefully, or at least help with. So I really like it. As they said, anyone else? What does anyone else have to say with this one? Not everyone at once.
I think these are all great ideas. I think they're all good. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say other than I like them. I think they're good.
Perfect. Thank you, Kevin, for providing that. Tracy, I think it's pretty well done.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Kasten. So yeah, we don't have to approve it, but I will like send this draft to Rebecca. Maybe she has more suggestions. I will follow up with her. So if everyone agree with this draft, we can go back to our templates. Here, this is something we really have to approve today. So I think we don't have any problems with relief fund template because last Friday, it seems like everyone just agreed like in favor of this template. So we have mission statement, application questions. So these questions, I put some examples here for the financial aid, like some grants. And also I asked like, have you applied for CARES Act relief? And Rebecca T just shared like the CARES Act with us, and I also asked her in the private chat like students are expected to get their money in next like 2 weeks. So I don't know. Should we ask? Can we ask like students like, do you get the money from CARES Act relief, or it's not necessary to ask this question?
I'm gonna say I think just for data, right? It's good for our own data and statistics. So I mean that's not a determinant of whether they get it or not. It's just more for us, right? It'd just be good to know in my opinion. But I mean, what does everyone else think? That's where I'm coming from. Wouldn't be hurtful to ask.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it would hurt to ask either. I think it's great just to have it as information as well and data on our end. That way we can also provide it to those work in the financial aid office and see what type of financial aid students are receiving. The one thing I will say, Tracy, I know the question below says, did you receive a financial aid refund check? Can we go ahead and, I don't know, can we remove that one just because we already asking students on top, are you a financial aid recipient? That way we can get that there.
Okay. Let me see, there's Okay, so
But
do I
everything else
just,
to me looks good. Mhm.
yeah, did I just add a question, like another question? Like, do you receive CARES Act relief fund here?
I think that would be good to me personally. I don't know if it would be best also to include whether they received it in the spring, summer, or fall. Jose, what do you think, or what does everyone else think?
Sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? My bad.
Yeah, no worries. I just said that I don't know if we shouldn't also include if they also received the relief fund, whether it was in the spring, in the summer, or in the fall, or just leave it as you know general as possible, just allowing them just to click if they did receive it at all.
Again, I think it's just for data collection purposes. It wouldn't hurt to ask at any point in time, right? And then they can give that information. But it's up to all of you. That's just what I think.
Oops. I think we can ask, like, do you get the CARES Act relief fund for this fall semester? Because like for the guideline, I kind of like put like student must enroll like before 2020 term. Maybe it's something related. Not very sure about it.
Okay. Yeah, we could. Well, I think. Yeah, this one's. Yeah, If not, I feel like we should just leave it as it is. I feel like that would just be best to make, just to generalize it instead. Yeah, I think it's just best like that instead.
Okay, just add this question here. Should I say did you or do you receive? Have you? I'm just kind of like bad at wording here.
Have you, I believe.
Have you?
Or
Okay.
Yeah, have you is fine.
Have you received CARES Act relief? That's it.
Pending.
Do you
was
want to maybe add? Have you received CARES Act relief funding at any point in time, and then that way they can, just to kind of open it up a little bit.
So I just put, have you received CARES Act relief funding
at any point in time?
At any point in time. Okay. Point of time?
Point in time, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And time, right?
All right, in. So in.
Okay. Sorry.
Is it that in or and? It's in, right?
In time.
In time, thank you.
Yeah,
No worries, Tracy. No worries.
English is hard.
I'm still learning. Okay, so have you received CARES Act relief funding at any point in time? Okay. So here, this one's required, I believe. Okay. And here, describe the circumstances that led to your need. And also add another question here, like how are you going to use this refund if your application is approved here? And yeah, that's for our application template. Anyone has any comments or questions, concerns?
I'm good to go. I'm good to go with the relief fund.
Okay, do we want?
But everyone else,
yeah.
Stephanie, Thomas, Nick, Janelle, anything you guys would like to add? I just want to make sure Tracy and her team knows that they're good to go on this one.
Everything looks good for me.
Yeah, no questions, Tracy. You did a really good job.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Do we want to approve it now, Brian? I mean, because for scholarship, definitely we need to further discuss. I'm not sure if we can approve scholarship one today. Can we just separate, like approve the relief fund application first and then like to amend agenda items, something like that? Not sure.
Yeah, definitely. Advisors, what would be best? Should we go ahead and approve this first in FA and then bring it up again? Or should we just go ahead and approve the relief fund scholarship now?
So here's a what'll happen. So since this is ready, you all like it, took a look at it. Tracy's going to send it to Rebecca, send the draft, and then Rebecca is going to tweak it, and she may send us something back. So there may be a final draft still pending. So what I suggest is maybe hold off on approving it. Just send it. You all liked it. Just send it as is, and then let's wait and see what Rebecca comes back with, and maybe that's the one that we approve instead. And then another note for you, Brian, on the next agenda, let's just keep these items separate. That way we don't have to amend it. So like have a relief fund agenda and then like a scholarship, its own agenda item.
Got it. I'll have that ready. So Tracy, yeah, in terms of the relief fund, I think it's good to go.
Okay.
I would send it off to Rebecca and see what she says, and then hopefully next week, or hopefully within the next week, we do have something from her. But I say it's good to go. So thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. So I will send relief fund template and also these guidelines to Rebecca today after the meeting. Yeah. Okay, so
Perfect.
now let's move on to the scholarship one. Okay, so for this one, we already have some discussion. So the first one is about the qualification, the GPA part. So we're still like thinking about, should we keep this requirement or just get rid of it, or just like put like 2.0 GPA? What does everyone think?
Yeah, this
And
is a tough one.
And hopefully you all had time to think about it. That's why we're still discussing.
Yeah, we have 1 week, everyone should think about it.
Sorry, I stirred the pot. No, I'm joking. I still think if we don't get rid of it, 2.0. That's what I'm gonna.
Yeah, I agree. I was also thinking if we do keep a GPA, we should at least lower it down to a 2.0. That way we have more students that are able to get this opportunity.
Mhm.
I agree. I also concur. I would love to have this lowered to a 2.0 instead. Have it available and accessible to more students, and also as well award those students that are also trying to balance their life, their personal life, and then their school life. So I would definitely love to bring this down to a 2.0, and hopefully everything would go well. I know. Sorry, I was reading Jose's comments, so I got lost track right there. So yeah, I think we should definitely vote on the
Okay.
GPA. That way we can get something settled for Tracy. So I see most of us as a 2.0. So I'm just gonna go down, down the Zoom line, and I'll go ahead and just ask, what do you think? Tracy, what do you believe?
I
What do
think,
you say?
yeah, I think 2.0 is reasonable. 2.0 GPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 2.0, Caston.
2.0.
Okay, Alexis. Okay, I'll go ahead and move. Oh, there you go, 2.0. Thank you, Alexis. Aaron, what do you think?
Are we talking about a scholarship?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had, go ahead, Jose.
Oh no,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, Brian, if you want to give Aaron a little bit of background behind the line item.
Yeah, definitely. So we are currently working on our scholarship for SGA. This is completely separate from the relief fund. But last week when it was presented, we kind of felt mixed emotions on this requirement, whether we should have our applicants have a minimum 2.5 GPA or not have a GPA requirement at all. So we were kind of on the fence, and we had this 1 week to really discuss and provide more feedback for Tracy. Personally, I feel that we should have it as a 2.0 simply because it is a scholarship instead of a relief fund. And it is a bigger amount. So I would like to see at least some type of awarding for these students that are trying to balance their school and personal life. But ultimately, it is up to you guys. But I do want to go ahead and just allow for more feedback for Tracy. But what do you think overall about a scholarship, and should it even have a GPA requirement?
When it comes to scholarships, you're commemorating kind of and celebrating like academics. So at least having a 2.0 seems like a pretty reasonable and kind of an equitable sense of like, students able to do it. Is this the overall GPA or just like their semester GPA from like last semester or previous? That's kind of my question.
Yeah,
Tracy.
yeah, I think it should be like cumulative, like overall, because they will require a transcript.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely 2.0.
Yeah, I still have to like confirm this with Rebecca. Yeah.
Yes. So that's why I kind of wanted to have it lowered instead from a 2.5 to 2.0, just because it is cumulative. And also I do, in our requirements, we do require a 2.0 GPA to, join us as well. So we would really love to have that bar lowered a bit. That way we can have more students apply. But I see, did you say you wanted 2.5, no GPA, or a 2.0?
I had said 2.0. I think that's great.
Perfect. And moving on, I see Stephanie, she did comment, I believe. I don't think so. Stephanie, what do you say?
2.0.
Okay. Nick, what do you say?
Sorry, guys, I gotta go with a 2.5. 2.0 is way too low.
Okay, Nick.
Nick, do you have 4.0 GPA?
It's like a probation.
Alrighty. And lastly, Thomas.
I just feel that if it's a cumulative GPA, it should be 2.5. This 2.0 is too for, but
okay, thank you, Thomas. And then Janelle, I do see 2.0 as well. So I think the majority of us, besides Nick and Thomas, say 2.5. But overall, it's going to have to be 2.0. I think it should be 2.0 as well. So I feel that the majority of us do feel it should be 2.0, and I think that would be best, Tracy.
Okay, I'm going to put 2.0 here. Okay. And next, I think what we haven't decided is this essay question here. So we're not sure if we have to reward this one or just get rid of this one or add one more question here. Because the reason why I put this question here, because we are SGA scholarship, our purpose is to like recognize the impact student made in SGA and clubs. So I put this question here just to like, in order for us to know like students, like if they do anything like outstanding during this time, because I saw many students around me. I know they're still doing outstanding job during this online environment. But it just depends on everyone. Like, what do you guys think about this question? I mean, they can definitely talk about their experience like before, before the school shut down, not only this semester. They can talk about the past experience.
We could leave it optional.
Optional?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that's kind of not norm, but I mean, if this is a new student coming in and it's during this environment, we should maybe keep it optional. What do you guys think?
I don't know. Yeah.
I have a suggestion or comment, and then you all can decide for yourself. But yeah, Caston makes a good point, right? What if this is a new MSJC student that has never been involved in SGA or clubs at MSJC? So maybe we should reward the question to it being Like, are you involved in any, have you been involved in any extracurricular activities in the past or at your previous school, or, you know, currently, maybe along those lines? Because again, we're, you know, not a lot of our student population, unfortunately, is as engaged as they were on campus in our clubs and within, you know, SGA. Well, mainly our clubs, right? So yeah, just something to think about.
We could also leave it, adding on to Jose, we could make it volunteer activities. We can make it anything extracurricular, you know, just to show the door open, basically.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a good point. So do we just add one more question, like make this one maybe optional, and another one, like if you haven't get chance to participate in the clubs and SGA during this online environment, like did you do anything else in your previous schools, or like on any like outside like organizations, volunteer?
I like that. I like that more. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can do it. So another question. Okay, I'm going to add one more here. And I'm going to reword this one kind of like a little bit, like make both questions as optional, right? Or I can say like, at least you have to answer one of these questions. Like you can't skip both.
Yeah, I would like to have that second one answered for sure. But that first one, I don't know. I kind of want to keep it as well as required, just because it is a scholarship. It is a higher amount, and I don't know. I just feel like it would be best to have more information about the student, especially because it'll help us determine, you know, who gets it and, you know, who doesn't. So I don't know. I feel like I would really like to have still that question that's required. But I mean, definitely reword it so that we can definitely, you know, have it access for more students.
Yeah, maybe I can just add on like the questions with this question, like add one more here, like if you're not, if you didn't get chance to, you know, be involved during this online environment, like have you had any experience like in your previous schools, or do you have any volunteer activities? So we can make this one required. We don't have to add one more here, but just combine those two questions together and make this required. Like students, they can choose to answer either the first part or the second part.
Definitely. What you could also do too is also ask a question in terms of what leadership experience they have before, or what experience goes along the lines of what SJ believes in and what our goals are in SGA as well. So what we can do, definitely, I feel like, is definitely bring this back in FA. Hopefully everyone can be present in the next FA meeting and really talk about this more, so that we can definitely bring this up in next week's agenda item and have this the scholarship template approved next week as well. But this one, I feel like we need to reward it before we even talk about it more as well.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's something like I will try to draft. I will try to reword this question first, and then everyone can just take a look at our FA meeting and just finalize the question. And then, yeah, for this one, I'm sure everyone's in favor of this one. The last question about COVID-19. Like, there any story, like personal stories, specifically during this time?
I'm good with that one. Go ahead, Catherine. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh, I said I was in favor. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Kasten.
Yeah, everyone else, any other comments, questions at all? I don't think so. Tracy, you're doing such a great job.
Thank you, Brian. So we can just so we don't have to really prove anything today, right? We just like I will send the draft, like for relief fund templates, I will send the draft to Rebecca. And for scholarship, this one, we still have time. So we will keep discuss about it next week. And then I will also send this one to Rebecca. And yeah, I think that's for this agenda items. If anyone has any questions, just text me. Like if they want to add anything here for the applications, just text me. I will add the questions into the application.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you as well to Alexis and Thomas for working on this. You guys are doing great, and I really do appreciate all your hard work. So thank you guys. Moving on, let me go ahead and get this agenda back on. Thank you, Tracy. Lastly, we do have a update on SJ t-shirt designs. So I know I think 3 of us have not still submitted for some reason our shirt sizes to Jose. So please send him a message right now privately. So not to put you on the spotlight, but I will, because we need these sizes already in for Jose. Thomas, please chat with Jose, send him your shirt size. Tracy, please send him your shirt size. And Ariana's not present, but I will definitely get her to contact you, Jose.
Oh, I think I sent the size. I didn't?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I think I sent to Jose like right after he sent the first email. Jose didn't get that?
Let me double check.
Yeah,
I don't think
let
I
me
saw
check.
yours.
Really?
And Aaron
I
will
think I
need yours
sent
as
that.
well. No.
Yes.
Let me see. I think I sent it. Yeah, I did send it. October 16.
Yeah, I don't have it for some reason.
Okay. Yeah, my
but-
size is S, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then yeah, so for those of you that email me or send it to me in the chat privately if you want. Thank you.
Thank you. And then overall, that's it for now. I don't think there's any other update in regards to this line item. Is there, advisors? I don't think so until we have everyone's shirt sizes.
Yeah, so hopefully by next week. But if everyone just sends it to me today.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. And that completes our discussion and action items for this our meeting today. Is there any call for agenda items? I know I'll definitely have the continued discussion on SGA relief fund and scholarship templates. I'm hoping next week, Tracy, if you can just let me know if Rebecca gets back to you in terms of the SGA relief fund for a final draft of the template. And then that way I can go ahead and have that line item for next week, and hopefully we can approve it. And I'll have them separate so that relief fund and scholarship are completely different items. But anything else, any call for agenda items besides that?
Yes.
Okay, Preston?
Have a discussion on possibly having an SGA TikTok.
Okay.
So I'll talk more about that next week.
Alrighty, perfect. Any other call for agenda items? Going once, going twice. Alrighty, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 11:45 a.m.